Staying with the Telegraph, Josh, and Tony Blair has waded in, which can only mean one subject matter.
Yeah. Tony Blair, a woman has a vagina and a man has a penis. Well, speak for yourself, Tony. And this is Tony Blair bravely wandering into the trans debate after many years after everybody else. And by the way, guys, look at me, how brave I am. And this sort of is frustrating because there are people now going, it's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's been obvious to anybody sensible for years, but there are many people who have lost their jobs, predominantly left-wing women and lesbians, who put themselves out on that line years ago and were demonised and vilified and called bigots and threatened and death threats and J.K. Rowling and all of this. And now Tony Blair goes, well, it's obvious. Well, it's obvious now because people have done the heavy lifting. To step in after the fact and just kind of go common sense. Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, look, he's right. Of course, a woman has a vagina, a man has a penis. The interesting thing, we talked about the story earlier, is I hadn't realised that obviously the famously Keir Starmer was like 99.9%. He has since come out and said, look, a woman is an adult female. So he has changed his tune somewhat. He's also talked about how they wouldn't go down the self-ID policy route. So reason has got through. The campaign of these women mostly have worked, and Graham Linehan and Andrew Doyle. But it's very frustrating when people sort of start talking about common sense after not having really contributed.
Yeah, well, it's classic politician, isn't it? The sun comes out and oh, I did that, or I knew. He says, oh, it's just weird. He concludes that it's weird that there was such a polarised debate. Yeah, pretty weird. I think that's...
and if people had stepped up, then it wouldn't have been weird.
I mean, he would have been in a very good position,
absolutely,
actually, wouldn't he? Because he wasn't up for election. He was home and dry. He was essentially like a tenured professor who could speak the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he might have even had some sway.
Yeah, but then equally, I think Cameron and Ken Clarke and lots of people of that kind of vintage have been disappointing on this issue.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people you might have thought, well, come on, you're not going to, you know, it's not like you're going to lose anything.
No, because what they would lose is the ability to say that they were a moral, but like they thought, be kind. What's the issue here? Well, it turns out, guess what? There is a conflict of rights here. So let's read some stuff about it and look into it a bit more. You are seeing children being medicalised. This has real-world ramifications for women's safety, for medical language, we've seen autistic children, gay children, basically converted and sent down this medicalisation path. And it's all because of the cowardice of politicians to actually just take a stand and also the laziness to just read some articles. Sorry.